Hello and welcome to the Museum of Florida History. I'm Caesar and today we're in our Forever Changed Spanish Exploration exhibit, aboard a recreation that is an example of the kinds of ships used by Spanish settlers and explorers of the 16th and 17th centuries. With expeditions through the Atlantic in the early 16th century, like those by Ponce de Leon, the Spanish began to send what became known as conquistadors like the one on my left. They had the goal of looting the Americas for resources considered valuable to the Spanish monarchy, typically gold. Shortly after the discovery of the Americas, the Spanish began to quickly found settlements all over the Caribbean, in places like Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and Cuba. But how did they get here? Well, the answer is obvious. Ships, like this one. But what kind of ships were the Spanish sending to places like St. Augustine in Florida? This is a recreation of one such ship. While they may not be an exact named boat, like the Santiago in which Ponce de Leon sailed on, it does replicate the general look of the Spanish fleet. The ships that the Spanish used were that of the Nao, caravels, and galleons to arrive in the New World in mass. The ship that was typically seen was the Spanish galleon, a three-mast ship that formed the bulk of the Spanish fleet. This replica we have here is of a Spanish Nao. These typically have three masts, one at the front referred to as the foremast, the center mast referred to as the mainmast, and the back one referred to as the mizzenmast. We see how the ship goes up to the quarterdeck, where you would see things like the steering wheel and the binnacle, which was the ship's compass installed next to the steering wheel. Above is the upper deck, where officers and the captain would watch over and command the ship crew. If we look below us, we can see through the main grille, where cargo could be stored below the main deck and in the hold. At the rear of the ship, known as the stern, we have a painting recreating crew members working on the tiller that connects to the rudder of the ship and is used to steer the ship. These ships came in mass numbers, with the Spanish trade route to the Americas traveling to many Spanish settlements across the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Trade routes from the Spanish would go through Veracruz, Havana, and eventually La Florida. This movement of people eventually led to the establishment of the oldest European settlement in the United States and oldest city in Florida, St. Augustine. Thank you for coming aboard with me today, and until next time, I'm Caesar here at the Museum of Florida History.